Good morning, everyone. Thank you guys for joining us. Before we kind of get into roll call, this is my first stakeholder meeting for the Southeast region. I just wanted to quickly introduce myself for those of you who hadn't had the opportunity to meet with. My name is Ty Fleming. I'm the new WisDOT DBE program chief. I started roughly about 3 months now. I've been in this position. I know typically Tandra Davis facilitates these meetings, but she will be out of the office this week, and she did ask that I join David in facilitating. So thank you all. And before we even get to the minutes, let's do roll call really quick. So we have Ann Nish. Are you present?
Yep, it's Nishak. I'm from Arrow Creek Construction.
Hi, Ann. Thank you. Jeff Bowen.
Yeah, good morning, Ty. Thanks. Jeff Bowen with WisDOT. I'm the Southeast Freeways design chief.
Hi, Jeff. Good morning. Brenda Schoenfeld.
Good morning, Brenda Schoenfeld with HNTB, and I'm here for Andy Kowski and any updates on projects on the East-West that just got started.
Perfect. Hi, good morning, Brenda. Brian Mitchell.
I'm Brian Mitchell. I'm Michaels Corporation Supplier Diversity Manager.
Hi, Brian. Good morning. Bruce Spann.
Yes, Bruce Spann with Spann and Associates. Hello, Ty.
Hi, good morning. Christina Crane.
Hi, I'm Christina Crane. I'm with M Squared Engineering and also a DBE consultant on the utilization team and DBE OBEC for WisDOT.
Morning, Christina. Dan Webster.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Daniel Webster. I'm the Director of Diversity and Inclusion for the Wallback Group.
Morning, Dan. Darren Fortney.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Great to see you. Darren Fortney, Senior Principal with SCH. We're also in the formal mentor protege with RGE at the moment.
Morning, Darren. Dave Brose.
Morning, Ty. Dave Brose, President of VMCS, and also here representing ACEC on these calls.
Thank you. Good morning, Dave. Deborah Evers. Hey, Deborah, it looks like you're muted.
Missed that whole intro. I'm Deb Evers. I am our Southeast Region Consultant Services Supervisor.
Good morning, Deborah. Maggie Gibbons.
Good morning. Marjorie Gibbons, Labor Development Specialist for Office of Business Equity Compliance.
Morning, Maggie. Emmeline Greiser.
Hello, Emlyn Griesar. I am DOT Southeast Region Deputy Director.
Morning, Emmeline. Roberto Gutierrez.
Bob Gutierrez, yeah, Roberto Gutierrez, Southeast Region Director. Thank you.
Good morning, Bob.
Good morning.
David Hubbard, of course.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. David Hubbard. I'm the Business Relationship Manager for the DOT, representing the Secretary's Office. I also co-chair this advisory committee with Tandra Davis.
Perfect. John Anderson.
Good morning, Ty. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. John Anderson. I am the Southeast Region Director for WRTP Big Step. We are one of the highway construction skills training providers. Happy to be on the call with you all.
Thank you. Welcome. John Swain.
Good morning, everyone. John Swan, Secretary Treasurer with Labor's Local 113.
Morning, John. John's Al. Looks like he's a note taker. It's a note there. John's AI. Oh, that's your. Thanks, John. Okay. I was confused. Karen Kruger. Looks like you're muted, Karen. Okay. It looks like she's leaving. Okay. She'll log back in. Madeline McLean. Madeline, it looks like you're also muted. Okay. We'll come back to Madeline. John McCoon.
I'm McCune, Southeast Region Program Controls.
Hi, John. Good morning. Minal Ham.
So yeah, Minal Ham with Squared Engineering.
Good morning, Minal.
Good morning.
Hi, David Nguyen.
Good morning. You said my last name correctly there, Ty. Good morning, Ty. Thanks a lot. Morning, I'm David Nguyen, Project Chief for Major Projects and the local program.
Morning, David. Oh, boo. I'm going to try. My heart is here.
Boo me. Development Section Chief for the Southeast Region for the 3R projects.
Thank you. Good morning. And Lamont Robinson.
Good morning, Ty. Good morning, everyone. Lamont Robinson, Director of Milwaukee County's Office of Economic Inclusion.
Good morning, Lamont. Jason Roselle.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Jason Roselle. I'm Southeast Freeways Construction Chief here at Wisconsin DOT Southeast Region.
Good morning, Jason. Sarah Janis.
Good morning, Sarah Janis, Integrity Grading and Excavating.
Good morning. Reem Shaheen.
Good morning, Reem Shaheen, Southeast Region Technical Services Chief.
Good morning, Reem.
Morning.
Cheryl Tasker.
Yeah, Cheryl Tasker, President of CBS Squared, Engineering Consultant.
Good morning. Stephanie Beal.
Hi, good morning. I'm here from Singh & Associates.
Good morning, Stephanie. Marquise Young.
Good morning, Marquise Young, DBE program, the utilization engineer.
Good morning, Marquise. And it looks like that was everyone. Was there anyone that I didn't call that's on the line?
Hi, Ty. Selena Chesney here.
Morning, Selena. With WisDOT. Anyone else? Okay, I think we've got everyone then. For the minutes, everyone should have received last May's minutes for the stakeholder meeting. Did anyone have any updates, commentary, corrections that were needed for our meeting minutes for May? No? Okay, I'm going to mark those minutes as approved for May's stakeholder meeting. And we can kind of jump into the agenda.
Can I just make one announcement, Ty?
Oh, sure. I'm sorry. Go ahead, David.
Yeah. First of all, the meeting is being recorded in case you haven't noticed. We always do that. The other thing is we're not going to be doing the breakout sessions today. We do have a special guest that'll be joining us at 11 o'clock. Aaron Towns, he's the Director of Commercial Banking at BMO. I think many of you probably know him or have heard him speak, but he will be addressing our group at 11 o'clock. And Bruce Spann, I want to thank him for inviting him, and I'll have Bruce briefly introduce him when Aaron gets here. So thank you.
Perfect. Thanks, David.
You're welcome.
So should we hop into our presentation with Bob Gutierrez on upcoming Southeast project opportunities?
Yeah, absolutely. Myself and Emlyn been really busy with the RNC And so I didn't get to participate in our breakout so we've got Deb. Deb can talk about professional services a little bit and some upcoming potentials. And then I believe Jason has a few things, and David. So I'm not sure if Deb, did you want to try to go first or?
Sure, I can go first. Hello, everybody. I just want to give an update on a couple things. We have the 2024 Construction Fair now out for preview. Southeast Region, in and of itself, has 65 construction packages in the fair this year, which I think is our highest ever. So lots of variety of projects, from ranging from small local program bridge rehab all the way up to large freeway projects. So definitely a lot of opportunities out there. After I'm done talking, I'm gonna send out the PDF file of that to all this group so you can take a look at it. And then we've also got the National Avenue study out there, and I think David might touch on this one too. There's a DBE goal of, I believe it's $150,000 on that, and we were given a grant to do some studying of those ramps on National Avenue and I-43. And I'll let David give you a little more detail on that, but we're holding interviews for that at the end of August. So if some of the smaller firms are looking for opportunities, I would suggest kind of talking to some of the larger firms, some of our larger primes that we would expect to put in on that. And we continue to have a lot of design opportunities up there. We submitted our fiscal 25 consultant budget, and lots of good design coming up. So I would encourage everybody to keep an eye on those previews that come out. So any questions on that?
Yeah, if I may add real quick.
Yeah.
I hope you all did notice that as for the DBE amount, we no longer set a percentage, correct, Deb? You want to
Correct. It's always, yep,
on
it's been
that?
a dollar amount. Yep, for sure. Yeah.
And then as of right now, as far as the project status, we're still working through with Federal Highways on the grant agreement. We were awarded the grant, so we would anticipate that the grant agreement would be in place within the next couple months. So we're very happy to have the project, and we're looking forward to get it started.
Yeah, and that project is really in its infancy, like David had mentioned, talking a lot about planning, community outreach, right, David, and just understanding the impacts, the historical impacts of those ramps that come right into right now predominantly Hispanic neighborhoods. So and what does that look like in the future, and with or without those ramps there, and I think there's going to be a lot of good dialogue with the communities and planning activities with that. So thank you, David. And Deb, those 65 contracts, those are, yep, construction management.
Correct.
Professional construction management contracts. So
correct.
Yeah.
And those interviews are on September 18th. So anybody who wants to be considered as a prime needs to attend those interviews. They are virtual. So, because we know that's a busy time of year for construction staff. So you'll be able to participate from your field office or your office. And we're looking to we really need all hands on deck this year. There's just a lot of work out there.
Fantastic. We do have several other chiefs from the Southeast region that are participating. They may not have a presentation, but they represent our organization in state highways, technical services. It's and of course our deputy directors here. It's our culture here at Southeast, and that's why they're participating in these meetings. So with that, I don't know, David or Jason, who would like to maybe talk first a little bit. I think you had something you wanted to share.
I know we have a formal agenda. Ty, you want to pull that up? Whoever's facilitating, want to pull that up?
Sure, I can share my screen. Let me pull it up for you guys.
Yeah, I was just going to give a quick I-43 major project update. The project is going very well. We made a pretty significant switch on the south end. That's from Bender to Brown Deer Road. We put all traffic on the new northbound pavement, both directions, 2 and 2 on the new northbound. Going further north, the Mequon Road interchange, we're still trying to wrap up the first phase. We're looking to make another switch in mid-August. The reason for that is the bridges and the northbound pavement needed to be built along with the box culvert to just north of Mequon Road. That box culvert needed to be done in 3 phases, so we're looking to get out of the first phase and go into the second phase. So there'll be some traffic changes in that area within the next 3 weeks or so. And further north, the north end is 99% complete. We're still putting on final touches on it, some lingering items like signing, miscellaneous restoration on the shoulder. But yeah, we're looking forward to finish the project strong here late in late this year, but for sure the Mequon Road interchange will linger into the summer of next year. So that's all I have for I-43. As far as the overall DBE accomplishment and the project was the overall goal was set for 11%. All contractors cumulatively, we ended up with 16%. I'm not going to take too much from Ty's group, too much thunder away from that group, but as far as the specific numbers, I would anticipate that Ty and her group will be reporting out. That's all I have.
Thank you. Thanks, David. And David, Bruce, do you have you've got some folks working in construction management on that project?
Yes, on the I-43 North leg, we have Marlena Williams and Sam Martinez are working on that project right now. Sam's splitting his time between the North leg and also the Mequon interchange project.
Fantastic. Yeah, that's great. You know, on the professional service side of things, and thank you, David, on the DBE program there and those opportunities. Any questions from anybody on the I-43, the utilization of DBEs or anything in regards to that program or project? Okay, fantastic. And then we will go to Jason Roselle, and after Jason, I believe Jeff, I know you don't have a lot on the East-West, but if there's anything you want to touch on, we'll shift over to you. Yeah, Jason.
Bob, it looks like he's still having connection issues. He sent us a text. Yeah, could we flip-flop? Jeff, could you go next?
Sure can. I'm trying to get my camera to work. Let's try that. There we go. I'll show up on your screen. Yeah, good morning, everybody. Jeff Bowen again. I've talked to this group a couple of times about what's going on our I-94 East-West project. We have our final design contracts underway now. So there is some DBE usage on those contracts, and when we start rolling out our construction projects, late 25, middle of the year to late 25, we're going to have goals for that as well on the construction end. So again, I think most of the folks on this call have heard my spiel a couple of times, so maybe I'll leave it at that, unless there's questions. Oh, I know what I'll say, Bob. Sorry.
Yeah.
One more thing just popped up in my brain. About a month ago, we had 2 public information meetings. I believe it was the 25th and the 26th, and we saw quite a few folks come out from the industry, the construction industry, with Mr. Davis, and talking about opportunities and how they can get involved and that kind of thing. So I spoke with quite a few of them, and that was really, really good. So kudos to him for getting those folks out to those meetings and getting the information. Now I'm done, Bob.
Yeah. No, yeah, you're absolutely right. I think we had the operators and possibly even some laborers, and a couple other union entities that came out, and I really appreciate that. And then some smaller DBE firms did come out to talk a little bit about with our folks at OVEC, who were part of that meeting too. So Ty, thank you for providing those resources during that meeting. Jeff, we have a state fair booth, right? So
we do have a state fair booth. State fair, this is blowing me away, but State Fair is next week. It starts already. So yeah, we'll be there at the fair every day in the exposition center, the expo center, as we've done in the past. Lots of information to share with folks. We see it as an amazing opportunity to meet with people. We did a little count last year, and we didn't count everybody, but we did a general count and then kind of extrapolated it out. And we were showing that we were getting 35,000 to 40,000 people stopping by the booth to ask about our project. So just an amazing opportunity to get in front of people and explain the project, to answer questions, get them involved. So if you guys are at the fair, stop by our booth and say hi and ask some questions.
Fantastic. So a little bit about the West Leg and the final design contract on the West Leg, and maybe Dave, you could help me out a little bit here, and Bruce. I believe, I don't know, he's not on today, but we do have HNTB here. Dave, maybe talk a little bit about your organization's leadership in that Westlake and Bruce, and maybe you can go after that. So put you on the spot, Dave.
So yeah, and also Brenda is on, and she's subbing for Andy. If there's questions you have in the Westlake, Brenda said she would handle those too. So no, we're excited to be a part of that team. What we're working on is kind of overseeing some of the local road parts of the Westlake, along with doing a fair amount of structures work and just helping out a couple things. So we're in it. Contracts are signed, and we're full go. So excited to be a part of it.
I'll jump in on that. Notice to proceed just happened in June. Very excited to get going. It's going to be a fast burn to get to the draft PSNE, and really excited for Bruce's group, Span and Bloom and Singh have really stepped up to take on that challenge to get these projects to final design in such a quick, short order. We're got going. We got 1078 submitted. And we really have a lot we need to get done in the next few months to deliver that project. Excited for that.
Yeah, and I just wanted to make sure we highlighted that. Deb Evers, you did a terrific job at providing that information, so that when the selection did come around, yeah, the DBEs were a part of that. A part of that interview process, not just, you know, not just an afterthought, but they were seriously part of the leadership in that interview. And Dave, I really appreciate and Bloom and others coming forth and providing that. So it's a really, really great project. So thank you, Brenda, for that mentor-mentee relationship with all your DBE firms. I do know you have a one-with span.
Yeah,
So
Bob, if I can add too, what I really loved about that Westlake contract is that, HNTB opened up the playing field, added Dave Bros and EMCS and added some firms that, had not been involved in the preliminary design. So that was just really super.
yeah, excellent. Very good. Evelyn, I'm not sure Jason ever got back on, did he?
No, I
I
don't
can
think so.
jump in and say something about 175. I'm not on the list, just to buy some time. Good morning again, everybody. 175 study. This is a reconnecting community study that we are doing from the stadium interchange going out to Lisbon. It's going good. The final report is due April of next year, 2025. We planning on having the PIM number 3 in January. That's the goal right now. Currently, we have quite a few alternatives that we've been sharing with the public. The last PIM that we had, PIM number 2 that we have 6 alternatives. Now we are working on reducing those alternatives into 3, about 3 alternatives or so before we go to the finals. So we are working with the community. We're working with the CAC, the Community Advisory Committee, and also the Technical Advisory Committee to get inputs in reducing that down. We're using all the information we got from the PIM number 2 to incorporate in the reduction of that. So far the project is going. I don't know off the top of my head right now the percentage of the DBE, but we did exceed the number of DBE goal that was set. Grave is the prime consultant, and we have quite a few sub, which Span and Associate is also one of the sub, quite a few other sub also too there. So that's it in a nutshell.
I think we've got Prism on board as part of community outreach and things like that. So great opportunity. This is a reconnecting highways project. Boomy's going down to St. Louis to go ahead and present presentation on all aspects. Interested in having Boomy and Doug come out to your organization or anything else, feel free to reach out, and we would love to do that. Thank you, Boomy.
If I could add to that, the second phase, that the study ends in April. Now, the second phase of the study is not funded yet. However, that will be the NAPR all the way to the final design.
Yeah.
Currently, we're working on a raise grant that to fund that. So if we're lucky to get that raise grant, then we'll be able to proceed with that design to final design.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Bob, this is Tim from NAMAC. I had just a quick question going back to the project. Good morning, everyone. It's great to hear that we're moving in, sounds like the right direction with, increased participation with the DBEs on the design side. I think it was mentioned, by Jeff, that the construction side will kind of pick up in earnest, maybe, mid to late 2025. That being the case, what is the recommended time frame for those interested in picking up some of those, parts of that scope of work to begin to maybe reconnect with, establish, grow relationships with folks so that they can be considered for that work as we approach 2025? Is now the time, or should the design be even a bit further down the road toward completion before those conversations begin in earnest? Just kind of looking for some direction in that regard.
Yeah, Tim, this is Jeff again. Thanks for the question. And I'll kind of tell you what I told the folks at those PIMs. Certainly I'm not going to tell them how to do their business, right? That's their deal. But we had some folks that were in the trucking industry. We had some other folks in the trades. And I think, I'll tell you the same thing I told them is I think now is probably when they need to start figuring that stuff out. I don't know the relationships, obviously, that they have with other contractors. But I explained that we're going to have what I would call, some smaller let packages as part of the East-West. It's not going to be all gigantic projects. We're going to have some smaller let packages. We're going to have some medium size, and we're going to have some very large let packages later on. In 2025 here, we're going to have some off freeway stuff. We're going to be doing some stuff on National Avenue, which is intersection reconfiguring, lengthening left turn lanes, and we might be upgrading signals, putting in some storm sewer, stuff like that. So I would consider that like a smaller package. If that's what folks are interested in, we're going to have maybe a medium-sized package that's going to be on the east end on 27th Street and St. Paul with some bridge work. Again, there's always excavation, it seems like, so there's always opportunities for trucking firms. We're going to need material taken out. We're going to need material brought in. There's going to be some concrete on that one and probably asphalt as well. And then we're going to have our west leg, which is that's going to be a big let. So opportunities there as well for everyone. So, that again, Tim, that's a hard question to answer because I don't know their business, but I would think the sooner the better, right? To make those connections, depending on what they're interested in doing and what their business, plans are. But that's what I shared, as far as the first couple lets with the folks that were talking to me at those meetings.
Got it.
So we also showed them, Tim, like where to go to get more information on those lettings on our HCCI website. You can get there through WisDOT.gov. You can get there many different ways, but that information will start rolling out on the actual bids, and we'll have plans and quantities. That'll be maybe a year from now, but they'll be able to start bidding on that stuff. But I told those folks again, if you're going to wait a year from now, you're probably too late. And again, I'm not telling them how to do their business. I'm just trying to help.
Yeah. So. Understood. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we just started receiving our 60% plans from the initial contract. And those really present a lot of information, and we'll be doing some construction staging outreach to industry, and a lot of times in the past we've maybe talked to more of the primes, but maybe an opportunity here, Jeff, to open that up a little bit, and have some DBEs if they would like to participate in that also. So we'll look for that opportunity for folks. Yep.
Good deal. Thank you.
You bet. Hey, I think we got Jason back. So.
Yeah, sorry everyone. My MS Teams decided to do an update there, but I wanted to just share a little bit of update information on the couple of big backbone freeway projects we have going on right now, which is the 894 project and the 43 Brown to Capitol project. So I'll just share my screen here quickly and share some updated information on that. So on 894, 61, almost $62 million project with an 8% DBE goal. We did meet that 8% DBE goal at the time the project was let. We've fallen just below that 8% number at the moment due to some changes to the project and some additional contract work that's been added that was not DBE related work, but we're still working with our contractor there as Ignago is the prime to work towards getting back to that 8%, but everything's looking good on that project from that perspective. We are a little behind on that project. We've had a few issues out there with utilities and some storm sewer work, and the project was supposed to be substantially complete this fall. Looking like some of that work is going to get pushed into the spring of 2025 now, but still looking good overall on that project. The next one is our I-43 Brown to Capitol project, kind of a very similar project, big urban freeway rehabilitation project. That project is also Zignago is the prime contractor on it, and we had a 10% goal on that, a $71 million project, and we're actually just a little bit above that commitment right now. So we're at 10.1%, and both those projects were at about 1/3 of the way through with the DBE payments, and I think some of that is just on both those projects. Arbor Green is one of the major DBE participating companies, and they're doing landscaping and beam guard and some finished signing work that comes later on in the contract. So why we are at only 1/3 paid on some of those projects. So looking good though overall, I would say from a DBE perspective on both those large backbone projects. So that's it. Just wanted to give a little bit of update on both of those.
So great, thank you. I think that concludes Southeast Region's presentation. So.
Okay, perfect. Christina, I saw your hand up not too long ago. Was that by mistake? Or did you have a question?
No, I was just going to mention because I saw somebody put a question in the chat. No, Tony White, just when you were speaking about the events, did you see that? I didn't know if.
Yeah, so Tony White had a question. Has DOT ever thought about regional events in addition to the annual conference to invite DBEs to meet with primes on projects in each of their respective regional areas? And that's actually a good point. Is Joe Davis on? No, he's not. So we actually do have a roundtable coming up to assist with connecting DBEs with contractors this September. It's actually the 4th. I believe it's the 4th roundtable. And we're actually sending out save the dates, which will happen sometime next week for the event that happens late September, which will be the 26th and the 27th in the Wisconsin Dells area. So with those reminders, we're also making phone calls to DBEs. We're doing outreach in our office to encourage participation, to discuss with them the agenda that we have planned for that roundtable. So hopefully we can increase the participation compared to last year. So that's a huge event that we are participating in, or we're holding for the DBEs as far as a networking opportunity.
I think you also have the Golden Shovel, the first part of the year that was also provide that opportunity.
Right, and thank you for adding that. And also, I wasn't here last year, but I believe there's also a marketplace event that helps with networking that happens, I believe, at the end of the year. I'll have to get more information on that from Tandra. I wasn't briefed on that, but I have heard that that's another event that DBEs can use for networking opportunities. Were there any other
Yeah.
questions about that at all?
I just noticed,
Tony?
I think Tony makes a good point in that by asking if there's any in the prospective regions. Because it is nice that we have it in the Dells, but then I think for smaller DBEs, that would be nice to look into having something in each region.
No, agreed.
Being about.
Absolutely, no, 100%. I agree with that. So I know that with me and my team, DBE participation is something that we're really focused on, especially with the final ruling that was just implemented on May 9th. But we have been working on just trying to see what we can do as far as efforts to increase networking opportunities for DBEs. So hopefully more to come on that. Thank you for asking, Tony.
Thanks.
No problem. Thank you. So anyways,
Thank you.
Tony White, WRTP Big Step, that's what we've heard from a lot of contractors and DBE firms is that they do have events. It's just the affordability factor for some people, staffing, of course, and then location. So just thinking about that and thinking about a recent event that we were part of for the Microsoft project, and it just really was successful because it was local per se, right? And then you had the local contractors who were meeting the local primes, and then they were having those conversations, and really it was attended well. So I'm just thinking that for people to drive to the Dells and then, I'm just saying, because it's a lot to give up and to be able to support. I just wondered, I was more focused on the regional aspect, not necessarily the statewide aspect, I guess is what I'm saying. Yep.
Right. Nope. I think that's a good question, Tony. We actually had several surveys that were sent out to DBEs recently through WisDOT just to get pretty much their feedback on things such as that, availability of resources. And we're having a hard time getting DBEs to participate with those surveys. And we know that they're small businesses, they're busy, but that kind of feedback is exactly what we need to make those type of changes. So if you're aware of any DBEs that have those type of concerns, please encourage them to participate in those surveys. I believe they actually were sent out at the beginning of this month, and I believe it closes next month. My team received a request from our AO's office, seeing if we could actually make outbound calls to some of the DBEs to encourage them to participate, which my team and I have been doing this week, and we haven't been getting a lot of callbacks. So anything that you guys can do to assist with DBE participation in those surveys, that will help us a lot, because we really do, we do want that feedback. And that would be really helpful for us, especially for me being new in this position, to think of new creative ways to increase participation and think of new networking opportunities. So thank you for sharing that with me.
Thank
This is
you. Yeah.
good feedback to bring back to my team as we discuss additional networking opportunities.
Thanks.
Thank you, Tony.
Yeah.
Did anyone have anything else to add to that? Any other questions about that? Okay, perfect. I know I'm looking at the. Oh.
Yeah, Ty,
sorry, Bob.
David, I'm sorry. So this meeting Southeast region on DBE stakeholders. Is there a Northeast region that you have? Okay.
Yeah, we have a Northeast. Go ahead, Ty.
Oh, I was going to say, yes, we do. I believe we actually had one the first month that I started in May. Wasn't that, I think it was held in Green Bay, I believe.
Yes,
I'm trying
that's
to
right.
remember. It was in Green Bay, yes. So we did.
And our next meeting is in August in Green Bay at the DOT office there. And I don't have the date in front of me, but it's a Friday, mid-August.
Yeah, because they have an amazing program coming up on 41.
I believe it's the 14th, August 14th, I believe.
Thank you, Tim.
Yeah. Or the 16th, the Friday.
It's
Friday the 16th. Thank you, man.
That sounds right.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, maybe you guys can throw that in the chat if anybody in this group would want to attend or be part of that. So, all right. Thank you all.
Thank you, Bob. And thank you, Tim. I'm looking at the time now, and I know that Aaron will be joining us shortly. Let's, if no one has any other questions, we can move forward to the DBE utilization update with Marquise Young. Marquise, whenever you're ready, feel free to take the screen.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Marquise Young. I'm the utilization engineer for the DBE program. So I work under Ty. So just real quick to give an update with the DBE attainment report as well as the utilization report as well. And so with the attainment report, the numbers are through, it includes the 4 projects that we had for construction outlet for July letting 2024, and then also it includes the modifications and consultant figures through the end of June. And so just overall, as far as looking at the figures, the numbers, the Fed funds, construction, and consulting year to date, over $770 million. And then when we break it out with our DBE commitments for consultant, a little bit under $20 million. And then our DBE commitments for construction from year to date, a little bit under $78 million. So bringing us to a total, when you combine those two numbers, the $97.3 million as well. And so when we had our first half of our uniform report, and our overall goal is the 12.42%. And so we met that goal on our first half, and then we're continuing to trend in the right direction with our overall DBE attainment percentage, and where we sit to right now at 12.65%. So we're ahead of our goal. When we look at terms of the construction, the DBE commitments, at the time of let, we have attained $61.4 million. And then when we look at the utilization portion of this report, so those are modifications after the contract has been executed. And so those numbers we have captured $16.3 million of that with the modification. So from year to date, so we have had over 1,200 requests, and we have approved close to 900 of those modifications that have came in. And so that's where that $16.3 million come in at. And so that's totaling, that's where we get the 77, close to $77.8 million total. So when we look at the Fed funds, the construction Fed funds year to date, $790 million. And then and then if you add our consultant Fed funds to that $150 million, giving us a total of $940 million. And again, these numbers change monthly, determined on the letting, determined on the commitment bonds that come in, as well as federal funding updates as well. So any comments or any questions with these numbers as far as the breakdown of the DBE attainment? All right. And as were mentioned, some of these projects. Yes, I do see a hand. Yes.
Quick question on that screen. So overall, it was 12.65% achieved. And then you had a teal line and a yellow line. What were the dollars spent? So I guess I'm trying to figure out what percentage was the consulting, percentage was construction to average out to the 12.65%.
Oh, I have to get back to you because we can break it out. Yeah, break it out to you. As far as with that 19 million divided with that 97 million. If you're looking in terms as a percentage of the overall.
I guess, okay, so it sounds like 770 million was spent. 97 was committed to DBE or spent on DBE. And that yields 12.65% is what I'm getting. However, my curiosity is, out of the 770 million, how much was spent on consulting and how much was spent on construction?
Yeah, I can follow up with you to break down those numbers.
Okay, that'd be
I
great.
can
Thank
get
you.
back with you. Yep.
Okay.
Any
Thanks.
other questions? Yep, no problem.
Marquise, was that, sorry, I didn't mean to cut, was that on maybe the last slide? No, was that not attached to, as far as the breakdown for the PowerPoint?
I
No.
know for consultant, commitment, for the DB commitments for consultant, I know that we don't have that broken out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. All right. And so as mentioned, just to look at the DBE goals. I know Jeff went over some of the DBE goals and commitments, and I was looking at his numbers, and my numbers seem a little bit higher. And I was looking at, so my numbers are from the last time we had a modification. So it looked like Jeff is probably a little more accurate as far as year to date as today. But for this meeting, a lot of these numbers are from the last time that from the utilization report that where we had a modification on each one of these projects, like the I-39 94 resurfacing project. And so this is looking at from the end of May, this number, we were at the 8.16% of the DBE participation on this project. And so when we look at the breakdown, the demographic breakdown as far as with the amount of DBE contracts on this project. So we see that non-minority female, close to 0.5% of this, and then the next Hispanic Americans with 34%, and then we see Black American 6%, Native Americans 8%. So we can kind of see where, as far as this pie, as far as with the demographics breakdown as well. And so this graph shows the type of work. So as far as the first graph just showed the participation breakdown, and then this shows us the type of work that we have with erosion control in that sky blue, and then we have the non-minority female with the trucking. That's the next, and then the Hispanic Americans with the electronic supplied or installed as well. So this the breakdown when you look at the work type for that project, the I-894 project. Any questions or comments about that project? And then I know Dave and Jeff mentioned this project, the major projects that have multiple projects, IDs that's associated with that project. And so the Brown Street to the Capitol Drive, which has a 10% construction. And like I said, from the end of May when this number was captured, was at 10.36%. So doing very well above the goal. And then we can see the breakdown as far as with the demographics of with the Hispanic Americans, 72%, followed by Black Americans, 19%, and then Asian Pacific on this project as well. So that's the I-43 from Brown Street to Capitol Drive. And so this the breakdown where we see the non-minority female with the type of work, with the guardrail and the erosion control, and then followed by trucking, and then the the electrical supplied and install, that's followed as far as with the type of work as well. And then the last project, that's the huge, the mega project, over $200 million construction contract. And so we see the DBE achievement from year to date, a little over 20%, very good participation on these projects. And usually in the southeast, we usually see that the DBE participation is very well. So good job to WisDOT and to our DBE farms and everyone working together to achieve these DBE goals that we have set. So again, just to break down, the non-minority female, 55% of the participation, then followed by Native Americans, 23%, and then the Hispanic Americans followed as well. And then just the breakdown of the work, it's kind of busy, so I'm not sure if you can see, but that sky blue, the non-minority female with the storm sewer, new and existing, and then Native Americans with the concrete work that's leading the type of work there. So any comments, any questions with those projects?
Yeah, Marquise, just a quick general question relative to the stats, and it might not be in your purview or your batch of data here, but for the non-minority females, for the project areas that they lead in terms of getting the most amount of contracts, maybe it's because they have a a greater proportion of folks that do that particular work. But if there's a number of projects and they are leading in some of the same categories like all the time, do they ever graduate out of the DBE program because they've gotten so much work and have done so much business? And if so, for the graduates, are there opportunities for ethnic minority contractors to fill that void and be in better position to maybe secure some of the contracts because some of the non-minority female contractors have graduated from the program due to revenue generation from repeatedly getting contracts?
Good question. I don't know, Ty, if you want to speak to that, some of the things we have going on.
So as far as the graduation out of the project for the non-minority females, Tim, I know they obviously look at the salary gross annual receipts for that. And then as far as the numbers, as far as how many, that information, I don't have that information readily available to me. I can definitely make sure when I follow Mina, we can provide you with information and anyone else who would like that. But yeah, that we don't have that information currently available. We can work on getting it for you. We do have the reports, obviously, that the forms that go out as far as if they are still eligible for the DBE program, that would probably provide additional information as far as how many of those businesses graduate out. We just don't have those numbers available, but can definitely get it for you. And that'll give us a little bit more information on exactly what made them, I guess, not eligible. that we can send to you.
Got
But that
it.
is a good
Thank you.
question. Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
And then, Mina, just wanted to confirm for your question, you were just wanting to break down for the consultant dollars, correct?
Correct. Just how much was
Okay.
spent on consultant versus construction or contractors.
Okay, good
I
question.
think
Yeah.
there is a gray area because like there's consultants that do construction inspection. So I still just want to know how much was on consultants, whether it was during the construction phase or design phase.
Okay. And we can do that
Does that
breakdown
make
for
sense?
you. Yeah, absolutely. Especially since it looks like the numbers we had were specifically mainly targeted for the construction side of things. But we can get that data for you.
Yeah. All
Okay,
right.
wonderful.
So
And
Tim
that's all.
and Mina,
Go
you
ahead.
guys can expect emails after. Sorry. Sorry, Marquise, go ahead.
Good deal, my friend.
No, yeah, we'll
Marquise, the floor is
follow up
yours.
with you guys. No, I follow up. Just want to thank everybody. And here's my contact information for those that may not have it. But thank you again, everyone.
Thank you, Marquise.
Okay, and then Marquise, you've concluded. Let's move on to the labor utilization presentation. Maggie?
Okay. So I just wanted to ask quickly, were we having our speaker at 11 or should I just go ahead?
I don't
he
see, did
joined
he
us?
join?
I don't think he's
I
joined
don't
us.
see that Aaron has joined yet.
Okay. I'll
If
just
you
go
wanna-
ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna let me turn off my camera here and share so that we can. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. So I'll begin today with the Zoo Interchange project. You know that this project has since ended, but there was a little bit of change in the utilization numbers since the time of the last reporting period. So for the total number of employees, there was an increase of 9 employees. For the total number of work hours, there's an increase of 1,237 work hours. There was only an increase of 1 minority worker on the project. Let's see, the total number of minority work hours increased by 372.70 hours. There was an increase of 1 female worker on the project and an increase of 91.8 hours for that female on the project. There was no increase in the amount of minority females or minority female work hours or HCST graduate work hours. Do we have any questions on this first project? Okay. Moving on to the next project on our list, and that is the I-43 North-South Freeway project from Brown Street to Capitol. On this project, there was an increase of 134 employees total. There's an increase of 44,551 work hours for the project. That's a nice increase. There's also an increase of 58 minority workers on the project. An increase of 19,763 hours for minorities on this project. 3 additional female workers, an increase of 1,015 hours for the female workers, and an increase of 2 minority female workers and 210 hours for those minority female workers. And there is an additional 3 HCST graduates on this project with an increase of 420 hours for HCST graduates. Any questions on this project? Okay, moving on to the next. The next project is a State Trunk Highway 50, 75th Street, and that's a Kenosha Pleasant Prairie project. There was no increase in the total number of employees, a small increase of 125 work hours, no increase in the number of minorities on the project. There was an increase on 104 minority work hours, and no additional increases for the number of female work hours, minority female work hours, or HCST graduates and work hours.
Quick question, Maggie.
Okay, go ahead.
This is the previous one. I think it was the Capitol to Brown. When there is, an increase in participation, is that pretty much due to just, the evolution of the work that is being done and the fluctuation between the increases and, let me say, non-increases? That's just due to the differentiation of the projects themselves, what they're calling for in particular? Or is there a way to kind of predict which ones will be able to add folks as the project progresses?
Good question. So I'm not exactly sure if there is an ability to predict. I do think that it's the increases are based on the evolution of the project. How, especially when it comes down to the HCST graduates being placed on the project, it depends on the amount of work that's being done at that time in relation to having graduates within that area.
Understood. Thank you.
Yep, no problem. I can look into it further too, just to find out if there's if by any means we do have a prediction. Not to my knowledge.
Yeah. If that would be great. If that's not super laborious for you to maybe do a little bit digging, that would be helpful to kind of know. And somebody else, I think, maybe has a hand up. They might be able to add a bit more light to it as well.
Okay, thank you. I can't.
Anderson?
Okay.
Yeah, that was just
John
hey,
Anderson.
Maggie.
Hey, John.
Hey, Maggie. If we were curious to know specifically who the HST graduates were. Is that something that we could find out from you, maybe separately or on another call or some other way?
Yeah, John, if you don't mind, if you shoot me an email, I can contact the compliance specialist for that project and find out what graduates those 9.
Okay, I will do that. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. And Tim, if you don't mind, could you shoot me an email as well with your question just spelled out for me so that I make sure to answer it correctly?
Certainly.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Let's see here. Okay. Do we have an additional question or hand up? Oh, I think that's still John.
Sorry, yeah.
No, that's okay. I just can't. With my screen down or with me sharing, it's hard for me to see completely.
Can you put my hand down, or do I got to do that?
I think if you hit it again, it should go down.
Okay. Is it down?
Yeah, you just hit it again, and it should.
There you go. It looks like it.
Okay.
Okay. So
I can do it too.
Looks like it's back up again.
I got it. I got
going
it
now.
Finicky.
Thank you, Ty.
I felt like playing with you today.
We appreciate you tying John's hand. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Right. So for the last project to report out on today, I'm sorry, just one project left, and that is the State Trunk Highway 20 project in Washington Avenue in Racine. And there has been no increase in labor utilization data since the last report period. So everything reflects exactly the same on this project. I'm going to dig into this a little bit deeper. My apologies for not doing so previous to the meeting, but just to find out if this project has since ended or if there is still time for the utilization data to increase. Anyone has any questions? I do have contact information listed. I can also send the report out.
Thank you, Maggie.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thanks,
Ty,
Maggie.
it looks like our guest has arrived.
Yes, I do see Aaron Towns just joined.
Yes.
Good morning. Good afternoon now, Aaron. How are you?
Hey, good day. How are you all?
Great. So feel free to, if you need to take over the screen, feel free to do that. We're ready for you to begin whenever you're ready.
I was wondering
fantastic.
if Bruce wanted to make any comments first. Bruce Bann.
Yes, I just wanted to say thanks for accepting the suggestion to have Aaron come back and talk to us again. Most of us are on. We were at the Golden Shovel event earlier this year, and Aaron had some really great information. And in my view, and I think everyone's, also great inspiration. He sounds genuinely committed to seeing that we get opportunities as small businesses to succeed. And he, of course, being in the banking industry, understands that the key to that is being able to have the finances and the financial wherewithal to grow your companies and to generate the type of wealth, even as he talked about as well. So I thought he didn't have enough time there. I asked David, is it possible that we could have him join us for this session? And we were going to have him join our breakout, but David thought, no, this would be best to have us all stay and again, get a chance to hear the wealth of information that Aaron has to share with us. So that's all I want to say, so we can give him enough time to present and have any questions from any of the attendees here on our session. So with that, Aaron Towns, thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be with you all today. And I also appreciate the call out on the sincerity. That is certainly authentic. The name is Aaron Towns. I'm with BMO Harris Bank. I'm in our corporate finance group. Today, I'm going to spend a little time talking about an Empower initiative. When we were together last, you maybe heard me talk about our firm in response to what occurred in 2020 with Floyd, initiating a $5 billion fund to be able to support minority business owners. So Black, Brown, women, Native was the thought. And we thought that it was going to take a period of 5 years, so $1 billion a year over a period of 5 year period of time to be able to deploy those funds. And we deployed those funds in 2, so 3 years premature. About a year and a half ago, in November, we increased the fund from 5 billion to 40. And as the ambassador to the state, I take it very seriously to make sure that at the bare minimum, people are informed. After being informed, if it's not a good fit for you, great, right? But I think at a bare minimum, people have to be informed. In 2019, we came out with a purpose statement, and it was to boldly grow the good in business and life. And, you know, a lot of times we hear purpose statements from organizations. It may sound cliche, but I'll share. BMO means it, right? And we do very, very creative and bold things. I'm going to share a story with you all and then kind of get into the deck. I'm not afraid to hear the voice of the customer. So at a bare minimum, if you're experiencing frustrations as it relates to gaining access to capital, sometimes you just like one introduction away from a resource that can help you propel. And last November, we actually had a roundtable discussion with CEOs of minority business owners, and they're wildly successful. And what I mean by that, they're 30, 28, 50, 52, $58 million organizations. But one of the things that came up in this discussion, all minority business owners at this particular time, is they shared their frustrations as it relates to being able to go out and get big ticketed contracts with like blue chip companies like Johnson Controls or GE Healthcare or thereof. And one of the challenges is they are put on a 120-day receivable. And so essentially you got to cover 9 payrolls before you actually compensated for the work that you did. And I took that information back to our senior leaders, and we talked through credit options and solutions. And we actually came up with a couple examples that I can actually highlight in today's conversation, that where we were able to successfully get access to capital to minority business owners in this market. So a little bit later, I'm going to share a slide that highlights the total volume of capital that we kind of deploy. But one of the things I'll talk about locally is we've already deployed more than $15 million for minority business owners in this respective market. That was deployed amongst 953 respective founders, right? And so I know that I kind of talk big picture in terms of numbers. I'll continue to do that. But I also want to let you know that boldly growing the good in business and life is multifaceted. We want to be really intentional about not only making sure that you get access to capital, but how do we ensure that you have appropriate financial literacy and resources to help you move forward? And when we do that well, what then happens is you're able to go out and hire some of our unemployed community members. And obviously there's this communal impact. And like, that's what it's all about, right? So that sincerity that, was mentioned earlier on, that's something I take very, very near and dear and take very, very seriously. ultimately it's about providing inclusion and opportunities to ensure that people are at the table to be able to take advantage of the opportunities that were really, allocated for them. I will tell you that I've had a great number of conversations with Secretary Thompson. We're really doing some really cool things. I know that there's a conversation that's taking place this morning where we're actually talking through really creative ways to be able to get capital out in the market. But long story short, once you know at a bare minimum, you got a friend who's in this banking system who can kind of maybe get you connected if I'm not the guy, maybe get you connected with another resource. So that's my opening remark. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen really quick with you all. Can you all see it okay? Just one confirmation.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes, we can.
And I apologize. When I share my screen, I'm not able to see the videos. And so I don't know if you're doing the head nod or thumbs up. And so if you have questions or feedback as we go along, this conversation is meant to be collaborative. Feel free to just hop in and interrupt, and or if you want to hold your questions into the end, ready, willing, and able to do that. So I just talked about the $5 billion fund that was deployed in a 2-year period of time. We increased the $5 billion fund to $40 billion. And one of the things that's really important for us as we live within our purpose is being really intentional about helping companies remove the barriers. So a zero barriers to business program is what we'll highlight today. I've already talked at a very, very high level as it relates to the Empower program, going from the $5 billion to $40 billion a couple of years ago, 18 months ago. That was our journey of becoming the Empower 2.0. The number that I really want to be able to highlight here, because $40 billion seems like a lot of cash and can be relatively overwhelming, but let me tell you like what it means in like ultimate concise efforts. And so for the people on this line, okay, what we have is $16.5 billion allocated to support DBEs with gaining access to the capital that they need to kind of move forward. I'll also let you know that sometimes we're not the perfect fit for everyone. And so I'll share with you a use case. There was a particular woman who was a DBE, landed a new certification, landed new contracts, went through the process of helping her understand the forecast model. And we weren't necessarily a good fit just because of where she was on her business life journey. One of the things that's really important for us to do as well into giving you access to the $6.5 billion is also to ensure that we're locking arms with organizations who also provide additional alternative funding sources. So with that, you may have heard about for size CDC market. We work very, very closely with them because sometimes we're not always a great fit, but sometimes, like I mentioned before, it's not a no, right? It's a KNOW. We want to be able to say, hey, we're not a good fit for you at this particular moment in time, but we'll give you a referral and then they'll help. We'll stay close to you because ultimately you'll grow and expand. But in that journey, we can essentially refinance them out in the future. We'll take over that loan, if you will. When we think about barriers, right? Like this is the piece where I kind of get really passionate. And this is the piece that I was talking about before about like the inclusive nature of what we need to have occur where people have the opportunity. If after you've been informed and educated and you choose not to, great. That's your right? But at least let's get people educated and informed. So here's the reality, right? 27 million small businesses are kind of out there, right? But only 8 of them, right? So 25% are actually minority owned. We also know that in terms of growth, right? And in terms of just the traditional business sector, 11% experience rapid rate growth, right? But for minority business owners, is 1, right? And then that we just understand that there's some just challenges with being able to get access to capital. So during our conversation today, I'll be able to tell you inform you what we've done organizationally to help make it more accessible. So as I hop to it, this is what we've already done program to date in terms of the Zero Barriers program. But one of the things that I'll reiterate is that for the state of Wisconsin, because it really becomes about how do we deploy the capital locally? How do we touch the lives of the people locally, right? So I'm not going to highlight the numbers here. What I will reinforce is that we've already deployed more than 15 million. We've already touched the lives of more than 950 founders, right? And so this kind of goes back to us holding ourselves accountable and abiding by the purpose statement of boldly growing the good in business and life. Now you may say, okay, great. How do I qualify? What does this even mean? And so ultimately, whether you're, Black, brown, women, Native, etc., right? You just got to be 51% or primary owner of that respective company or identify as that respective group, and then we can kind of play ball. So as a part of the program, you really get three things, right? One is access to the capital, but like I was talking about before, as we had the focus group with the wildly successful founders who have contracts with Johnson Controls and GE Healthcare and amongst many of the other blue chip companies, having access to the capital isn't necessarily the sole answer. It's only one part of the answer, right? You also need to be educated and informed. So financial literacy is also really important. I give you a specific use case to highlight this one. So I was talking to a DBE, and they talked to me about being able to increase their revenues by $1 million. And this one's really important because I just kind of want to walk you through two particular things. And number one, as you are going to increase your revenues by $1 million, it's great. But let's talk about like when those funds are actually going to hit your account. So I kind of talked about it before, where you may have a receivable on a 120-day term, and you may have to cover 9 payrolls. What happens is people don't necessarily consider that, and they get over-indexed on driving top-line revenue, that contract dollar, without understanding the implications of the business and how it impacts their cash flow. And the piece that breaks my heart is that when the founders kind of get that massive opportunity and it's a win, then we fail because we didn't appropriately manage cash flow. And then what happens is they then come to the bank and they pursue liquidating their assets or maximizing their corporate cards to be able to fill the void without fully taking into account, hey, you got to be able to create this balance, if you will. Okay, so that's kind of like part one. Another thing that I've seen DBEs do, and I've talked about it, Tim, thank you so much for the opportunity to be able to speak at the Dells last year, is really all about generational wealth. And so within our model, it's not just education on the business side, it's also education on the personal side. And so I've seen DBEs time and time again make $100,000, deduct $100,000 to avoid paying Uncle Sam. But when we operate in that kind of fashion, what happens is when you come back to the bank to try to get additional revolving lines of credit to be able to go have liquidity that you need to support your next growth strategy, it doesn't work out well. So that's half of the story. The other half of the story is that when you zero out, we then lose the opportunity to be able to put funds away for you personally. And so the number to kind of pay attention to there is net worth. So on the business side, cash flow, on the personal side, net worth. And so if we can get laser focus on those two fundamental numbers and really drive engagement, provide strategic introductions for you to be able to drive top line revenue, like that's what we mean about education, right? It becomes like, how do you take it and make it practical to impact your life and the lives of the people who work with you in the communities that you live in? So that's what I mean about education and what we mean about that. When we think about access to partnerships, I mean, I kind of talked about Northwest Side CDC amongst others. Sometimes we're not the best fit for you, and that's okay. It's not a no, it's a KNOW, just not right now. So we'll get you introduced to members who are part of our ecosystem to be able to support you along your journey. That's really important.
Hey, Aaron, can I jump in really quick? This is Tim
absolutely.
McMurtry from NAMAC. Thanks for joining us, man. This is excellent information as always. You jammed at the networking event, as well. So I'm excited to have you here. Just a quick question on that first example that you gave.
Yes.
On that contractor that wanted to grow their business by $1 million and didn't take fully into account, that window of having to have those carrying costs for those 9 payrolls. And so that, could spell doom. Do you all have in this programming any way to maybe collateralize confirmed contracts? Hey, I got $1 million worth of contracts here. They're confirmed. Can I get a loan or line of credit from you all for that $1 million so I can make the payrolls? Question 1A. Question 1B, if that individual has been using their blood, sweat, and tears, scraping and treasure to get here, might have had a hiccup or two along the way because they were stretched too thin, and they might have a ding or two on their credit report, and they're short of 800. Does that automatically disqualify them from being able to get these types of program dollars or not? So I guess the first question is, can you guys, collateralize confirmed contracts? 1. Number 2, what role does credit play in their ability to play ball with you all at all?
Yeah, and those are two great questions. So to answer the first, the short answer is yes. But my caveat, my response to that is it depends on how we get there, right? And so let's say that you were a $10 million organization and you, I'll give you a real example. Minority business owner, their revenues went from 14 to 22 million. They're crushing it. They just closed contracts with SpaceX and Tesla. We had a strategy meeting with them 7 weeks ago. They now have $29 million in the pipeline. So they're going to go from 22 million in revenue to 51 million this year, right? And they don't have the liquidity in place to be able to support that growth, right? So the way that we're going to support them with getting there is going to be a little bit of BMO's money. We're going to collaborate with a couple of CDFIs. We're also going to collaborate with factoring, right? To be able to help them have the liquidity that they need to help them support the growth that they're experiencing. What will happen is we know now 6 months out, we need $5 million in reserves to support those 9 payrolls as an example, right? But we also know 7 months out, we need 8, right? And so we got 1 or 2 things that can occur. We could tell the sales guys to slow down from selling, which no one really wants to do, right? Or we can try to figure out how to close the gap. So long story short, yes, it just depends on the business, on how we help them get there. So that's kind of like part 1 to your answer. For A. For B, my biggest feedback is just like tell us the truth, right? Like we can work with the blemishes, we can help finesse you, we can give you introductions to help you along your way. But the piece that is really a little bit more challenging is when you weren't transparent, and then we're advocating for you to get the deal done, and then the underwriters tell us that there's some blemishes, right? So just tell us up front, so that we can massage it through, so that when we go in and have those conversations with the underwriters, we can tell them that up front, but then we can also tell them how we're going to mitigate it, right? If we don't know that in advance, then there's a lack of trust, obviously, between us and the founder. But then 2, it immediately disqualifies us with being able to have that political equity with the underwriter. Like, just like that. It's so fast, right? So tell us the truth up front. And if we can't get it done, then we'll refer you to someone who can get it done. I think that will probably be my biggest advice. The third piece to this question, number 2, is the collateralization. I think you're spot on. But I think that this is also connected to what I was talking about before, about zeroing out, right? Like, and so it's 2 parts. It's 2 parts. If you don't have any revenue, it doesn't matter the collateral that you have. Right. So you got to be able to kind of do both. You got to be able to show some revenue as well as collateral. And then the combination of those few things are what is going to allow you to get the additional resources that you have. Use case of that. Many times I talked about the zero out. So I made $100,000. I deducted $100,000. So what some people do is they wait until September, October, November, and then they take all of their cash reserves and they go out and buy equipment. Right. And then they do that because they're going to deduct and show 0 gains for the year to avoid paying Uncle Sam. Great. That's great. But then they want to come to us and pursue what we refer to as equipment finance. So they want to be able to use that equipment as collateral to then get access to capital to then go out and do more stuff, right? In terms of growth oriented activities, which is great, but you didn't show any revenue for last year. Right. So it's a very, very delicate balance on how you do this stuff. And what I really want to help with is like the rules to the game, because I feel like that we've been ill-informed, right? And we're operating our businesses in a way that really sabotages the business. It doesn't allow for us to create that element of growth that we really hope for. So I hope that I answered your questions.
No, you did.
Okay.
Thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Yeah, it's important stuff. So, I mean, what does it mean? How do we help provide financial advice? It's interesting. I mean, what we just reviewed is the step number 2, coach in your corner, right? Like that was a live experience of what we just highlighted. The community outreach, that's something that's really important. We'd like to have relationships with all of the chambers, and they provide additional technical assistance. And like I mentioned before, the money isn't enough, right? Like the money is a piece, but you also need a couple more elements to help bring it to life. Every year, for the Woman on the Line, there's an opportunity for you all to apply for a Woman in Business grant. opportunity. And so that takes place every year. And here's the kicker. You don't even have to bank with us to be able to get access to this opportunity, to be able to get free money from our firm. I don't know if you all are Cupcakes fans, but Classic Girl Cupcakes won the grant program. They currently don't bank with us, but they have amazing product, had a great story, and they're moving forward. So we actually just are in the process of identifying those winning business grant recipients here as we speak. So that's kind of like the left side of the slide. On the right side, you have Meeting in a Box. This is really cool because we try to be very intentional about helping business owners connect with other business owners. Sometimes you are a solution for someone else's question. And this is a little bit of a networking opportunity. We do feature founders and business owners to kind of be a part of this this effort as well. The business literacy, we have workshops that can be in person and or virtual. If you all kind of want to be a part of those, feel free to let everyone know or me know that you have an interest. We kind of add you to our list. Speaking today, we actually have an event with Tempo. Tempo is an organization that does a lot of work with women in the community. We will be featuring 35 business owners at this respective marketplace, and we will have more than 200 people there coming out purchasing products, shaking hands, meeting the founders, networking with each other. So we do things like that, try to be very intentional. And then lastly, like I mentioned before, want to take care of the founders, but then also want to take care of the employees. The Bank at Work initiative is something that's important. So back in the day when I was a kiddo, some of my guys worked for Foot Locker, right? I could get the employee discount, if you will. So long story short, as a result of you having a relationship with the bank, we extend employee benefits to your employees, all at no cost, and they get the best of the best of what we have to offer just as a compliment to them working with your company. Now, why is that important? Sometimes employees leave your organization to go work for another organization just for a 25-cent raise. So many organizations position it as an employee benefit. So, hey, Tim, you working with us as a firm, we're going to extend these benefits to you. And then as a result, it's a way to drive retention so that they may not just leave your firm to go to another firm for a 15-cent raise. And we give everything that I outlined here away for free.
Nice.
All right. Next thing is, like I mentioned before, we do partner with nonprofits and CDFIs and chambers. If there are any organizations that are kind of represented here, would love to have a conversation offline about that opportunity. And then because of this, I mean, we get a lot of recognition. Believe it or not, we just got nominated 2 weeks ago as being the best commercial bank in the nation. And going back, I'll end where I started. And this kind of goes back to what I mentioned before as it relates to us coming out with a new purpose statement. It was to boldly grow the good in business and life. And I've seen our organization be ultra committed to it. And I've seen us deploy capital. I've seen us educate. I've seen the byproduct of it. I've seen organizations grow and expand. And I think that is what it's all about. So I'm grateful for the opportunity to be with you all today. I'll pause for any additional questions or feedback if you all have them. One last thing I want you to know, at a bare minimum, right? You got a friend at BMO. It doesn't matter if you bank with us and or not. If you need to bounce an idea off of us or get additional insights or resources, literally, we are a phone call, a LinkedIn message, an email away. I'll pause for any additional questions or feedback.
Well, I'll chime in now. Thanks, Aaron. One of the other reasons Aaron was in the forefront of my thoughts about our meeting today was a couple of weeks ago when Microsoft had their outreach session. Aaron and I met up with each other again there. And one of the questions, the questions he was asking about our business and the like, and how do we grow and financing and the like. And I'm glad that I can say this is in front of my most important client here in Wisconsin. Aaron was taken aback when I mentioned to him that we don't have 30 days to wait on our receivables to be paid. The DOT, Wisconsin DOT, they're excellent about paying on the consultant side. I can't speak for the contractors, but on the consultant side, they are excellent at paying us. If we're the prime consultant, we get paid not immediately, but within 30 days, and typically much less than 30 days. I won't name the names of the project managers that sometimes they even turn around our payment the next business day. I don't want them to get in any trouble if they're supposed to wait a little bit longer, but once they see that our
Spill the beans, Bruce. We want to
No,
know.
I'm not
Inquiring
mentioning names.
minds want to
I'm not
know.
mentioning names, but DOT, they do that because the DOT has this policy. I've mentioned historically when there were a couple of times in the past where it took more than 30 days after the project managers approved the invoice. And again, the DOT then, I don't know if they still have that in place now because it doesn't happen to me. I don't have to wait 30 days, but they paid the invoice with interest when it was more than 30 days beyond when the project manager approved. So I know you were talking earlier about scenarios where folks have to wait 90, 120 days. But when we get these contracts that we have on the East-West and on 43, even when we're a subconsultant, H&TB, Jacobs, Grafe, they all pay when paid. Kapoor, they pay when paid. They got paid yesterday. They sent me an email yesterday that you're going to have your money tomorrow. So again, they also reflect the same, I won't say strategy, but not even requirements. This is just the way business is done in the state of Wisconsin Department of Transportation. And on the consultant side, I couldn't be happier because I don't have to worry about when I sign contracts. When they first start, I know I have to cover those first 2 months. But after that, it's as long as we have invoices going in, we have payments coming in within 30 days.
Yeah, and Bruce, to that point, I mean, we were able to connect briefly. I was super impressed with your business model. We're talking about your growth and the additional revenue that you can create. You talked to me about some of the challenges that you have with finding talent. And this kind of goes back to the ecosystem, right? Then we get you introduced to a talent provider, right? To see how we can support you with being able to hire staffing. I don't know how that's coming along, but I mean, that's what it really is about, right? Like when you create the value of the ecosystem for the benefit of everyone, we can rise collectively together. And I think that Milwaukee and the surrounding suburbs is in a very, very unique position in the sense that many organizations are ready, willing, and able to kind of lock arms and convene, if you will. They just need a little bit of a support, just understanding like their role in the greater ecosystem. And so I'm happy. Like this is the stuff that's super important for me, right? Because I've seen companies accelerate at a rapid pace because they had the connections and the resource, right, to make it all happen. And so then it just becomes how do we emulate for more people, right? How do we be a little bit more inclusive? And so, Bruce, thank you so much for the opportunity and reaching out, man. I'm down to do anything I can to support you. And all the others, if we haven't had an opportunity to connect, I put my contact information in the chat, and we mean it, right? Like Bruce kind of started off with that level of sincerity. Our organization means it. And so if you have maybe bad experiences with us in the past, I apologize for that. If you kind of want to have a chat just based upon where you're headed and what you're doing, excited about that. As we get, I talked about the Department of Transportation having conversations this morning. As those things kind of come and unveil, there's some really cool stuff on the horizon. And I just want to make sure that people know what's coming, because if we do it well, it will be a path to be able to help you all drive top line revenue. So that's all like money side, right? If we I'll highlight this too. Workforce is also big, right? So we do a lot of collaboration with WTB Big Step. We're working on a model where Milwaukee Academy of Science, I don't know if you all are familiar, STEM school in the market, 1,400 students. They have about 400 high schoolers as an example. So WTB Big Step is working with their students. I think we'll be continue to expand that model starting next school year. Actually, I know they will. And then what we've done is we've introduced 260 organizations to WTB Big Step in the last 4 months, right? So that kind of represents industry. That can also be your organizations as well, because as you need talent, right? Like what we've done is we've created a talent pipeline for you in advance so that when you need the talent, then they can just get placed. So if you kind of oversimplify it, you got talent and then money and resource. When combined, that ecosystem, we can do some really, really cool things. So we're actually in the middle of creating a marketing campaign for that. That should be finalized by the end of September. So more to come. So these are the things that we're looking to solve. I'm a banker that tries to lead with the solve for the big problem, and then the rest kind of takes care of itself. So Aaron Towns, BMO, excited to meet you all. Contact information's in the chat. Feel free to reach out. You definitely got a friend.
Thank you very much, Aaron. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Awesome. Nice to see you all. Talk to you soon.
Likewise, brother. Enjoy the rest
Thank
of your day.
you.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you. And I think this is, I should probably also mention that Aaron will be present for the roundtable that's going to be taking place this September. He's going to be he's actually going to be a panelist for the access to capital. So again, if you know anyone, if you guys want to participate, we of course encourage DBEs to be present. He'll be expanding on pretty much the information that he shared here today. So keep a lookout for the save the dates, which should be coming out within the next week or so for that September roundtable. And then it looks like we have about 15 minutes. David, did you want to close out or?
Sure. Normally we just do a recap of each of the subcommittee breakout sessions, but since we didn't do that today, that's fine. I would just open the floor if there's any comments or announcements folks would like to make. This would be a perfect time to do so.
I'll just jump in, Dave. Thank you. Tim McMurtry here, NAMAC. We have our 9th annual Construction Industry Business-to-Business Forum scheduled for October 10th, 2024. More information will be forthcoming. If you want to put a save the date there, that would be great. It's going to be at Potawatomi Casino Hotel. October 10th, 2024, 9th Annual Construction Industry Business-to-Business Forum.
Thank you, Tim.
Sure.
Anybody else?
I guess I will add, most of you have heard that the DBE program has gone through some recent revisions. So CFR 49 Part 26, those revisions have to be implemented by the end of the year. So we are in the process of preparing stakeholders and contractors, DBEs, just making you guys more aware of these changes that are going to be implemented. We're in the process of implementing them, but they are required by FHWA to be implemented by December 1st. Our team will be holding Q&As, live Q&As in August and in September. So please keep an eye out for that if we have your contact information. The revisions do affect bid letting and that process. There is an additional form that will be added to bid letting. So that Q&A, the 2 Q&As that we'll have will allow any type of questions, and we'll actually have some demonstrations available for anyone that would be interested in attending. I do encourage it. So if you've heard of those revisions, please attend. We, of course, will be having a panel at the roundtable in September to elaborate on the revisions and to go into detail on that. So everyone on my team will be present to answer questions. All of my subject matter experts will be present. So again, if you know of any DBEs, and of course, any future bidders, contractors, of course, the stakeholders are welcome to attend. Please take that as an opportunity to ask questions. According, at least from what I'm told, there hasn't really been revisions that have been this, I guess haven't been any revisions in the last 10 plus years of this size. I mean, there's quite a few of them. So yeah, take the opportunity to attend if you can. And then of course, you guys have my contact information. Feel free to reach out to me directly if you have questions. I've already been contacted by a couple of contractors just with general questions about the process, and happy to answer any other questions you guys have. I thought I saw a hand up, but no, did anyone have? Okay. And that's pretty much all I have.
Great. Thank you, Ty. Any other announcements or comments or questions? Okay. With that, our next meeting is scheduled for October 24th from 10 to noon. I'd like to thank Bruce again for inviting Aaron Towns. I think it was a great session. And I also want to thank everybody for their time today. So we'll give you some time back to your busy day.